Hi, happy Tuesday. Welcome to another edition of Tony's Tidbit Tuesdays. Today we're talking about plant propagation. There are obviously different forms of propagation for plants, but today we're going to talk about the cutting into water method. It's probably the easiest thing you can do to propagate your plants. Other methods are like division of plants, which is basically dividing your plants and repotting them into different pots. And others are just kind of taking the little pups off, but it really depends on what kind of plant you have and different methods for different plants. But today we're just going to talk about some of our basic house plants that we can do. Most of y'all know how to do cuttings for pothos, I'd imagine, at this point in the game. But if you don't, just make sure that you always have fresh water. And then I already did this one, so you just always want to cut about 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 inch, like just below the node. Remember we talked about nodes, which is this little kind of elbow joint here. Try to have like a couple leaves on the plant as well. And you always want to do kind of shorter cuttings. You don't want to do like a really long cutting and then put it into water while it will like most likely eventually root. You want to make sure that when you plant it into dirt, it's going to take a lot of energy trying to like keep that whole plant going just by like one tiny little root system. So that's why it's good to just do smaller cuttings and then let them root, and then you can pretty much like I'll be able to eventually just plant all these into one plant container, and that way I'll have like a bushier plant instead of like one long crazy tendril that's like not gonna be that stoked. So that one's pretty basic. Just cut and then just drop them in the water. This will probably take about 7 to 10 days for the roots to go, and then probably another, I'd say probably like about a full month before it's ready to actually be repotted back into soil, and I'll get into that in just a minute. One thing I wanted to show you, I'm not sure if you guys know about dracaenas, and that you can actually propagate these pretty easily, which is really cool. So for the sake of this video, even though I love this plant, but because I love you guys, I want to show you how you can just cut these off and then they'll just reroot, and then you can make more plants, because you can see there's actually 3 stalks on this guy, like 3 little buddies. So I'm going to cut one off for you to show you where. And then the cool thing is that more often than not, these will actually shoot out new growth as well. So it'll kind of regrow anyways, so I'm not like that worried about it, so don't trip. So I already have a fresh little jar of water here. Always make sure when you are doing cuttings that you have clean, sharp scissors or your cutters or whatever. I always try to sterilize them. Just take a little bit of alcohol, rubbing alcohol. I just put a little bit on my paper towel here, and then you just want to kind of just wipe them off. Basic stuff. Just kind of sterilize it so you're not spreading any bacteria or diseases or anything to your other plants. Pretty easy. And so with your dracaena, if you have a lot, different stocks, sometimes there'll be like a couple stocks and it's getting crazy. Maybe you want to train your plant to be like taller and like bushier on the top than having all these like crazy growths. This is a good way to kind of keep that under control. So what I'm going to do is, these ones are kind of hard to like really tell the node, but it's like you'll just kind of cut. I want to cut closest to the base of the main stalk there. So see, I just cut that little guy off. Oh my god, don't be scared. And so he'll just kind of look like that for a little bit, but eventually he's gonna probably sprout some new growth off of there. And as you can see, it doesn't make the plant look like totally crazy. Like you almost can't even tell that I did that. And then take your little jar, plop it in, and there you have it. You're gonna have a dracaena, another dracaena, and hopefully probably about a month or 2 it'll be ready to repot into soil. So boomsies on that. Let's see, the next one I want to show you, because I think a lot of you may have trouble with the monsteras. They're fairly easy. Let me kind of clear out some space here. So I didn't want to, this is like my main like big guy. He's still growing, as you can see. I didn't want to cut him, so because I'm not ready for him. He needs to grow more before I'm ready to start cutting off of him. But I've actually have another cutting here that I wanted to show you from a different plant. I just want to show you, always remember to cut at the node or just below the node. So let me see what I can do here. Sorry, this is all one shot video, you guys. I'm not doing any edits here, so bear with me. So you can see right here, his little node is like right about there. So, and he's already got an aerial root growing here. So what I'm gonna do is actually, I'm not gonna do it here, but this is where I would snip on another plant, just snip like right below that, about 1/4 of an inch. And then I would just plop that whole thing in water. And what's really cool is maybe you can see, but there's like a new little growth right there. So if I were to snip this off, there would be more new growth come in shortly after. So in this instance, with another plant, you can see it's already started to root. So I'd cut it, this is like a bigger plant, so I kind of cut it like right below here, and you can see that it's already starting to root. Now this guy, I mean, he's probably not gonna be ready for a few months. I wouldn't plant this until he's got like a full-on like root system going on in there. So he's just gonna chill for a while, and we'll see how that goes. I'll keep you updated on him. Some other examples of cool plants that you can cut are the Tradescantias. These are some of my favorites. They're so beautiful. These like root super easy. You can see like, I think this is probably like maybe 3 weeks tops, and he's already starting to root. I think within the first week he was already like rooting. So I'd give this guy another probably week or so, and then I'm gonna replant him into soil, because I love these guys, and I actually don't have one, but I did a job and the guy was kind enough to let me take a little cutting, so that's fun. Another one here is the Maranta. So you can see I had cut just below the node there, his little elbow joint. You can see his roots. This guy's been in here for about, I don't know, probably, he's pretty slow growing actually. This has probably been like almost 2 months, so I don't know what's going on with him, but probably maybe in another few weeks I'm gonna actually replant him into some soil. These guys are doing okay, so I'm not even gonna show you that. It's like a waste of time. Okay, so those are like the main ones. I will show you, I can't move my camera, but I have an arrowhead vine, which is a really cool plant. It's like totally underrated. It's one of my favorite houseplants of all time. They're super cool. They're really easy to propagate as well, so I'm gonna clip one and show you. So this is what he looks like. They're super cool. They also have like their little aerial roots there. So I'm just gonna put this, I just cut him right below, and I'm just gonna put him in some water, and he's gonna root as well. So that'll be cool. He's gonna share a little house with, I'm gonna share a little house with the Dracaena. It's kind of a pretty little mix. So they'll just be like hanging out and rooting together. Root. Okay, so those are like, it's the basic method. So it's like, don't overthink it. Just cut below the nodes, about 1/4 of an inch typically, of your common houseplants, and you just want to make sure you use fresh water. Some people use fertilizer in their water. I never have. It's never been an issue for me. If you do use fertilizer, make sure that there's actually roots in the plants, like in the soil before you, the soil in the water is what I mean. Make sure that there's actual roots in there if you're gonna put fertilizer in there, because otherwise you could just like burn the plant off and it'll die. Just be really careful. Do your research on that, on how much, and you want to use a liquid fertilizer, and I would say like super diluted depending on how big of a container you have. So I've never used it for cuttings and I've never had an issue, but to each their own. This is just my method. You're gonna see a bunch of different methods of the way people propagate plants. This is just kind of my way that's worked for me for lots of years. And the one other thing I want to say is that if you use glasses like this that are kind of colored, it could be beneficial because it kind of blocks a little bit of the light out, which will help with algae buildup in the water. But you should be changing your water every 3 to 5 days anyways. But even here you can see, I'm not sure if you can see it, but there is a little bit of algae buildup in there. So that's the difference between using a clear vase. I didn't clean this one out today because I'm actually going to show you how to repot it right now. Once it's propagated in water, you can see this guy has been in here for about maybe 2 months. but you can see his roots. So I'd say right now is about a good time to get this guy going in some water. In some soil. Sorry, like I said, this is no edits. I'm just like trying to get at you right now. So there's that. So what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna show you. I already have a little soil here. And here I'm gonna actually add a little bit of perlite because the soil, for some reason, just it feels a little dense. So I'm just gonna take some perlite. Spoons are your friends. They're like my favorite utensil to use ever for like potting smaller plants and stuff. So what I'm gonna do is just add a little bit. You can see all that cool dust. It's not really cool. Usually you wear a mask. Like if you have to use a lot of perlite, like I would wear a mask. Make sure to do it outside. I'll do one more in here so you can see how it's just kind of like helping. This is going to help with the drainage. Just kind of aerate the soil a little bit so that it doesn't get all stagnant and hard, because you want oxygen to be able to flow around through the roots. And so I think that's about good. So I'm just going to do that. I'm actually going to get the soil a little bit damp. So remember that these have been living in water, solely water, for like, a couple of months or whatever. So you want to kind of mimic that environment. Don't put one of these in some like dry ass soil, because it's not going to do much for you in the long run. I'm going to add just like a little bit of water, just get a little bit damp before I put it in the actual pot. So then I'm just going to kind of like mix it up a little bit. That way you don't have to like go over the sink and it gets all crazy, or outside. So I'll just pour a little bit more just to make it a little damp. And I'll still end up watering the plant as well. So you can see it's just getting a little nice and damp here. Like a little mixy mix. Pour a little bit more. And then I'm gonna put it in the pot from here. So see, it's kind of like a little bit damp. Not like soggy, there's still dry stuff that is gonna get mixed in, so like don't oversaturate this. And then I'm gonna take my little pot, my little eco pot. They're super cute. These are actually a perfect size for this, because you can see how the roots are gonna fit perfectly in there. It's gonna still give it room for it to grow, but it's not gonna be like a giant pot with these roots trying to like reach out. If you overwater it, it's gonna be like too late and you're gonna oversaturate your plant. So use just like a smaller pot and then build your way up over 6 months to a year or whatever. And also, which is really exciting, because we're actually going to be getting these eco pots on our website this week, so check back for that. We're going to have 2 sizes for now. We're going to have the square and then the smaller round, so they're actually perfect for planting your propagations. They're really great. They're made out of plant-based materials, and they're made by a local company, well, local up north where I was originally living. They're California company, family owned, so I like to support them. They have a lot of fun colors and just cool pots. Anyways, okay, so then you want to take your soil. Like I said, spoons are like your friend when you're doing smaller things. So just kind of put it in. I don't know if you guys can see that. So I'm just gonna kind of, you want to fill it up about 3/4 of the way, making sure to leave enough room for it to like make a little divot for your plants. So see how it's about 3/4 of the way. I'm gonna make a little hole, a little divot. He's like dripping water, that's okay. I'm gonna take my little roots. Look at it, he's like a little curly Q. Burp, burp, burp. Anyway, so he's gonna go right in there, dude. Boom, look at that. It's like a perfect little fit. Don't you agree? And then from there, I'm just gonna go in and just like you would any other plant, just go in and kind of fill it up. You want to fill the soil up over the roots, so it'll get established, nice. This guy's gonna be so happy in here. Like I said, once you put it in soil, if you use a good potting soil, that's already gonna have some nutrients in it for a while to sustain itself for a while. And then you go like this, pop it in. There you have it. So then from there, I'm just gonna kind of pat them around, making sure that that it's all kind of even around. You don't want to overdo the soil. You don't want it to be like mounding over. Just a nice even layer just to cover like the top of the roots. And then you can see the aerial roots here. Remember I showed you before, I'm gonna just tuck them in there so they'll actually root into the soil, and that'll help give it a bushier appearance in the long run. And then from here, you can give it a little bit of water. You want the water to be slightly moist for the duration, like for the next couple weeks while it's getting established into the soil. And then beyond, this time of year, because it's pretty warm out, you want to probably water this guy. It's a smaller pot, so you want to check in on him probably like every week or so, but don't oversaturate it. Don't like drown him out. Just, you want to keep it, you know, just slightly moist, and even moist, for that. So, and then from there, what I like to do, because I love, the look of, you know, rocks on top. So I'll take some little rocks. These are just like little tiny pebbles that you can get at your nursery. These are actually great for mulching because it'll actually help hold the moisture in, which is what you want for these new cuttings. And then I just place them around. I like the clean look of it as well. So I'll just go in and kind of put them around here. So they look super cute and super clean, even though they're not. It looks dirty and messy because I got wet soil everywhere. But yeah, you see how cute that is? Just like keeps it nice and fresh. But anyway, so that's how you repot a little propagation, like a plant that was propagated in water. So, and there you have it. He looks like he's been in here forever, but he hasn't. So make sure to keep an eye on your plants once you've repotted them. Give them the good bright light that they need. Keep it out of direct sun. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I know this video is a lot longer than my usual Tidbit Tuesdays. And I hope I was able to answer any questions for you. Oh yeah, the one thing that I want you to make sure, please, use pots with drainage, okay? Listen, if you want to use a cute ass pot like this, that doesn't have drainage, put it in a nursery pot that will fit inside there, okay? And then that way, if you overwater it, you can just take it out and dump out the water. You don't want to plant propagated plants, or pretty much any plant ever, into a vessel that doesn't have drainage, because chances are you're going to kill it, you're going to root rot it, because you don't know what kind of watering situation is going on in there, how much water is sitting at the bottom. So, and even using pebbles, that's like pretty much a myth. So don't do that. Just use one of these. You can get them at your nursery, or just save them from a plant that you bought at the nursery or whatever. If you're having trouble finding them, let me know, because as a plant business, I come across a lot of them. So please just give me a holler if you're really looking for some smaller, like 4-inch plants. Sometimes I get the 2-inch ones. Sometimes I get bigger ones. So just let me know. I really want you guys to make sure you're planting your plants properly. And I'm more than happy to give those to you if I can. And I think that's about it. I think I covered like the main things. I know you could talk about propagation for hours, but I'm trying to keep it short and sweet. It's already been a long time. But anyways, I love you guys. I hope you all have a great day. I hope this video was helpful. And let me know what else you need or whatever questions you have. Sorry for my little stumbles. Like I said, I'm just like doing a one shot here. So no edits going on. So I'm working on it. All right. Love you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.